Yo, what's up, LDBC? It's the Boxing Mouth. Come back with the truth. I want to talk about something. Something that have to do with race. Uh, when it comes down to cause I've been hearing a lot of trash about Hispanics being against blacks, blacks being against Hispanics, all that. When it comes down to race and stuff like that, or nation, because there is no such thing as race. It's nation. What nation are you from? Whose father? Who are your fathers? What lineage do you belong to? We, as black people, as Hispanic people, we've gotten away from that. Okay, because to be honest with you, the only difference between black people and Hispanics is the color. And you know why the color is different? Because they were able to pillage their people more than they did ours. They brought us over. They needed purebred blacks so they can tell the difference between the slaves and the non-slaves. They needed them so they didn't rape all of our women. But when they went over to Spain, when Spain went over to those Central America or the places like that, South America, they raped and pillaged a lot of their people, a lot of their women, and so they whitewashed them. They nearly whitewashed them completely. So stop thinking that you do have some nut jobs out there, black and white, black and Hispanic, who feel like there's this greaterness or whatever. But actually, I'll say this. When it comes to physical attributes, there's no disputing this in the world. Nobody can dispute this, that the black people or these colored people, brown people, Hebrew Israelites, Judahites, whatever, whatever nation, somehow is just, the way the Most High made us, we more athletic than any other nation. And that's factual. It's been proven. But outside of that, that's because, I don't know why that is, maybe there's a reason for it, of course, but outside of that, that doesn't make us this great nation, because at the end of the day, our brothers, which are the Hispanics and Central America, all those people that have been cheated amongst this earth and don't have a nation in this society where they can call it their own, and don't, all of those darker people have been whitewashed. All of them. Dispute with God. We haven't, here over in America, rather, I should say, because I'm in Costa Rica. Well, I'm gonna get on that too, but over in America, they haven't, because they needed them to work. They couldn't chance having their and if you would read the Willie Lynch letter, it tells you that you can't whitewash the people completely, because then when the gene, the athletic gene and the strength and the flexibility and the speed and all that comes with it, you might erase that too. So they couldn't risk erasing that whole thing. Okay, it's kind of like when you crossbreed anything, you want to get the better from both. Yeah, I want the skin to be white, but I want him to have the black attributes. So I can't have. Then you might mess up, and then you might do good. You might get it, but they couldn't risk that. But like what I'm saying now. Okay, let me just go to the people in Costa Rica. The people in Costa Rica are predominantly white, white. They're from a different nation, but they're white. You see some people who you can tell are lineagely native. They're natives. Their ancestors and stuff are of the original people. But then the majority of these people here are white. The majority of them are white. Just like a lot of places in the Central America. Now, me and my family, we drove to Costa Rica. Okay, we drove to Costa Rica. It's doable. You leave from Texas, go through Mexico, Honduras, all those places like that. When we went through Mexico, there were not as, I'm gonna tell you this, there were not as many. Let me see. There weren't as many whiter people in Mexico. Matter of fact, half the people in Mexico were surprised to see black people. Okay, and everywhere you go, they have these murals of just black people, murals everywhere. and it's because their original people were black people. It was there was a time where it was limited white people on this planet. It was a time because scientifically adaptation, you were better off. You would survive easier if your skin was darker. That's just how it rolls. But even outside of that, biblically, there was a time where there was no white people. You know that it was hard to tell nations apart back then. But like I said, these people have murals all over the place. Actually, right by my house, up going into the center of town of Costa Rica. Everybody here is white. Okay, everybody here is white, but they have this mural of blacks, of black people, not black, Judite, not well, the people from the Israelite. You know the original 12 tribes, the darker people. Okay, brown people is what they have. The murals have brown people. It's not these people that are tan or anything like that. Just straight up black. I'm not doing that whole, hey, a little this, a little that. No, these straight up black people. And this is how you know there's an agenda coming from another nation against our people, because they've already tried to whitewash one whole group of people. You can't, just this journey alone have showed me that there was a time where brown people were all over the world. There was a time like that. And so what we need to do is come back. And I'm not saying we have to go back to, trying to blackwash everybody or whatever. But I'm just saying, you have to realize, if you're looking at a Latino person, you're looking at your brother that from generations of years, hundreds of years of their women, of his nation's women being raped or being just pillaged, babies being killed, things like that. Oh, he's too dark, let's kill him. Things of that nature. You looking at that. So stop looking at it like white versus black, because the white people right now, the actual whites are winning, but these Latino guys are not our enemy when it comes to this race war thing. I guess you could I call it a war of the nations, because that's what it is. You warned again when somebody is physically doing something to your nation, when somebody is going out and killing your people and literally hunting your people and trying to keep one people out. That's called war. So these Latinos and Hispanics, man, are not the people to look at. If you want to get angry, you just leave America. If that's how you feel, if you that deeply about it, leave. Or you can stay and do whatever you're going to do. But, hey, like I said, don't get mad with him, because people in Puerto Rico were darker too. Just because anywhere in those islands were darker. They came, just how the Spaniards came to and came and wiped out the Aztecs, who were a group of Hebrew warriors, a whole nation, the Aztecs, who were not these tan white Indian people. I'm telling you, they were the same color as us. The same color as us. They were whitewashed. They did it through history. They did it through TV. They did it through everything they could think of. Anyway, okay, we can't have them think that Egyptian. I mean, that to me was ridiculous. Even though my bloodline, I know I'm not connected to the Egyptians or anything, but you could just that's ridiculous to me. That was the most utterly ridiculous thing. They have these tan guys out there, or just white bald guys like the Egyptians, and that was never the case. Even in hieroglyphics, you see all the pharaohs are these dark black guys, not the same color. Like not the same. They're more of straight up African rather than Hebrew. It's a difference. You would just have to know. There's a difference in features and everything else, physically and everything. But they were darker people too. They weren't like as light as, they weren't like brown. They were actually like literally black. Like let me think. There's nobody I can really think of. Tyreek, the singer Tyreek. They were like that color, but a little darker. So anyway, like I was saying, there's a certain amount of whitewashing that have happened to all of us, and it's been to these people worse because that's the first place they came. When Columbus left from from Spain to America, that was the first place they came. They went. His people, they couldn't get the ones in America right yet. They had to ease on the Americans because they were already doing. They had to ease on the ones that were in America, uh, because those were some warriors back then. They couldn't just take over like they could everywhere else. But when they went, our people, and I say our people because it's not like we just generated in Africa. We was all over the world. I don't understand that. How do you really believe, you truly believe that your people just was in Africa and white people were everywhere else? You would literally have to be a fool to believe that. No, your colored people were all over the world. There was a time where their white, if you had white people, that's what leprosy is. That was considered leprosy. Revitiligo, yeah, that is leprosy. What is considered leprosy because your skin turns white and you're not able to adapt to the sun, and as it turns white, you get skin cancer, all that other junk. So that was considered leprosy. Nobody wanted to be, you saw a white person, you knew they were going through something. You were like, okay, let me stay away from them. They cursed, and that's biblical. There's I can't think of the verse right now, but when Moses was when he was communicating with the burning bush, and the Most High was talking to him that way, he asked, there was a miracle that was shown to him where he stuck his hand in his coat and pulled it out, and it was white as snow. This means that it does not make sense. I've said this before. It does not make sense for a white man to stick his hand in his coat and for it to come out white. You know what I mean? It was a phenomenon. Everybody was black back then. Oh snap, my hand's white. What is this? That's how it was. But everybody, we got this thing where we got to get our people back in alignment. We're not supposed to be battling first each other. There's a nation already warned against both of us. And right now they winning because we seem like we two different nations when we all the same. Hispanics and the people in the Negroes or black people. I'm not even gonna say African Americans because all of us aren't from Africa. Are are one and the same, but one of us had it worse when it comes to how we were our skin being tainted than the other. That's the only difference. That's the only difference. So stop looking at it like Hispanics are against blacks or blacks are against Hispanics, because that's not what it is. It's media, it's a play on words, and it's controlling the masses. Divide and conquer. How can two walk together if they can't agree? They can't. It's divide and conquer, and it's the same thing that worked on our nation for years. If I can keep the black male divided from the black female, how can they come together and and make a strong family? If I can keep this black male in the house and keep him separate from the slaves, and he can use his brain in here and not out there to let his people go, I'm gonna keep him in the house because I don't want his people to be free. Okay, psychological slavery. You still in psychological slavery if you're looking at anything other than yourself and the person who is physically influencing you, physically attacking you. Come on, that's a wrap. You could look at George Zimmerman in his face and see that he was predominantly white. So I don't understand. What I'm saying is, if your dad is white, you're white. But it's a point to where you, even though you've been whitewashed for all those years, there's still a remnant, you know? And if we can't come to terms with thinking, okay, we're one and the same, we're the same people, then hey, we gonna forever be lost, man. You gonna forever be lost feeling like if you're not my skin color, then you're not with me. When actuality, your skin color is the same that they had, but theirs was taken from them. You have to be smarter than what your oppressor allowed you to be. That's why I tell people all the time, every time I come on here and I start talking about race, I say leave America because you never see, if you're not willing to, I'm gonna tell you this now. You are not for your own people if you're not willing to sacrifice what you have there so you can be out of your bondage. You're not for your people. You're not. You're for yourself. You're selfish. That's what that means. Well, I got my house. I mean, my kids are going to school. My son has friends. You know, I like my little car I got. My truck is nice. I like my job. If you always think that way, hey, I got internet. You know, I can kick back. I can smoke weed all day. Hey, it's medicinal. If that's how you think, and you're not willing to even go out your comfort zone out of America, you love being a slave. You love being a slave. That's what that means. And if you're not willing to see that this thing than it's bigger than just seeing what happened in the news and talking about it, or even going up with a gun or whatever people do and shooting cops up or whatever, or shooting white people up, or whatever you're going to do. If you can't realize that it goes outside of that, and that no matter what, as long as you in America, you're going to be a slave, then you love being a slave. And you're going to be a slave forever. I'm going to say that now. Black people are at far beyond the point where they should have left America, in my opinion. Far beyond the point, because you'll never be a nation. Okay, white people have their nation. America is so-called melting pot, but it's really a pot for the elite to get their work. It's not even a nation altogether. It's Babylon. But Europe is white people's nation. Africa isn't even black people's nation. We don't have a nation because nobody wants to leave where they were slaves. You got to get outside of your comfort zone, and you have to be thinking. Okay? I'm telling this to my people because everybody feel like, well, I have so much here. Why should I give up? Why should I give this up to go there? I can just fight here, but that's not how it works. That's not how it works. You come to some place, you go somewhere else, outside of America, and you build up there. Mexico, I drove through Mexico. Mexico is desolate. It's desolate. It's desolate. And I'm sure a lot of the Mexicans who were born in America have not been to Mexico, because it is very desolate. Matter of fact, the only place that's even close to city is, I guess, Mexico City, maybe, or right on the border outside of Houston, or I mean not Houston, outside of Texas. It might be some stores or whatever, but it's a very desolate place. It's very desolate. It's pretty much nothing there. You go through and it's like ruins. You looking at towns and half-built houses. I mean, they got these little really good family-owned hotels and stuff like that. That's okay, but it's really desolate. Now, Puerto Rico, on the other hand, where the white man has his hand, a lot of his hand, is actually it's a very good place to be. It's not really a third world country. I hear a lot of people saying that, but it's not really a third world country. If you come here, it's pretty much little America. I mean, everything's a little bit more expensive, of course, but besides that, I mean, it's not that much different. But I was just able to tell the transition where there are darker people. We driving through Mexico, and these people are dark. They working. I see them working and stuff, but everywhere you look around, everything is just dead. Even on the farms that they had, they would have these corn farms, right? And every time you drove past a corn farm, an American, it would be American owned. They have these corn factories, great good factories. I'm thinking, oh snap, they doing something for themselves. American owned, American owned, American owned. So just think about that for a fact, for a moment. Just think about it. If I come to one place and I notice that, hey, it's pretty good build up here, but everybody here is whiter, and I go to another place and it looks like it's destroyed and everything that is good is owned by someone else, and there are darker people there, what does that mean? That means that there's a war going on, and that means there's been some infiltration, and that means that there's been some division. There is a division being made, that has been made. You got to be smarter than that. Peace.